Phelps, you jump like a girl.
To protect and serve, the universal goal for any police agency in the world. It originally came out of an internal memo contest for the Los Angeles Police Academy in 1955. The Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, adopted it as its official credo in 1963. However, if you were to rewind 8 years from that initial contest, you would be in 1947, a year of transition for a nation recovering from war. It was a time plagued with rationing and a city in Southern California ripe with corruption. Designers and stylists, meanwhile, were thriving from the lifted restrictions. Christian Dior, the famous French designer himself, stated in 1947, quote, "A golden age seemed to have come again." In the fashion world, for both men and women, the 1940s is considered the golden age of fashion, a height that we may never achieve again due to its sheer influence. One of the most authentic portrayals of this golden age in video games is 2011's LA Noire. LA Noire is an episodic open-world detective game with Cole Phelps as its protagonist. The game follows his journey through various desks in law enforcement. The game's premise is boiled down to ask questions first, shoot later. Just like the period the game was based on, it was not smooth sailing like a yacht lazily floating off the sunny California coast. It was in development hell, a term that refers to the struggles and mismanagement in game development. Starting development in 2004, the game's core mechanic of interrogation was tied to a very expensive facial capture technology called motion scan. This machine utilized 32 high-definition cameras arranged in a dome with an actor in the middle, capturing the performance in 3D at 30 frames per second. By 2009, the game's budget had surpassed $50 million, making it one of the most expensive games of the time. Then, on May 17, 2011, the game launched to critical acclaim. The developers, Team Bondi with help from Rockstar, wanted to make LA as accurate as possible, as though you were sent back using a time machine. The developers toured LA shooting reference photography of locations still standing from over 80 years ago and consulting LA historians. Not only were the locations faithful, but so too was the fashion. They did this by hiring professional film and TV costume designer Wendy Cork. Cork's design process for the game started with a sketch in a vintage style. Next, that sketch was physicalized for the actor or actress to try on, and finally they were scanned in a full-body 3D scan. The best part is it gives the costumes a highly realistic simulation of real texture and fabric. The 1940s was a very interesting period in fashion due to arguably the biggest conflict in human history, the Second World War. The decade can be divided into two parts, wartime and post-war. The biggest trend during the first half was wartime austerity. Austerity is defined by sternness, or measures to reduce public expenditure. Rationing was implemented as a way of saving material, so people got creative with a focus on utility and minimalism. The wartime silhouette for men was boxier, usually with a single-breasted jacket, skipping the vest and cuffs on the trouser. A woman's wartime silhouette was similarly squared, with padded shoulders. The waistline was cinched with the help of a belt to create an hourglass shape, and the skirt ended at the knee. Post-war men's fashion became like the 1930s again, with a dominant V-shape, extended shoulders, and new atomic prints for ties. Things got interesting for women's fashion post-war with the introduction of Dior's new look. It was a very controversial silhouette for the time, with softer sloped shoulders and a wasp waist to emphasize a hyper-feminine hourglass. At the time, even with rationing still in effect, a single skirt could use up to 20 yards of fabric and fell to the mid-calf. The world may have not been ready for the return of the Golden Age, but Dior perpetuated its acceleration. Time to look at our cast of characters, starting with Cole Phelps. I have organized the major supporting roles in the order that they cross Phelps' path to coincide with his style journey. Since he is the playable protagonist and we experience everything through Phelps' lens, I want to discuss his standing. At the root of Phelps' character, he can be described as humble, intelligent, and lawfully good, with a desire for justice and a hint of insensitivity.
You fuck young boys, Valdez.
Are you a madman?
Here's the deal, Airto. You give me information, and I won't give you to immigration.
Keep this in mind when discussing his clothing. His heroic journey begins after he is honorably discharged from his previous career in the Marines. He wears the standard LAPD police uniform as a patrolman. The uniform remains nearly unchanged in present use. His look as a beat cop would change after one case regarding a jewelry store murder. The seed for Phelps to become a detective is planted by James Donnelly, captain of the homicide department, who does something very unorthodox. Instead of having a veteran detective interrogate the suspect upon arrival at the station, Donnelly lets Phelps do it, and Phelps successfully elicits a confession. Phelps' success leads to his promotion to the traffic desk.
Get yourself 2 suits, get them pressed. You'll be needing them.
As a freshly minted detective, Phelps wears a brown pinstripe 3-piece suit with a tan fedora. While serving with the LAPD, Phelps works with a variety of other detectives, each with their own quirks and style. The first is Stefan Bekowsky, a bit of a joker and slacker. Bekowsky's look is defined by an earthy brown check sport coat and a green paisley rep striped tie. I initially thought they took some creative liberty with the tie, sensing a 1970s influence, but to my shock, this was a style that was actually worn. Now, he does wear a matching pocket square with his tie, which today is frowned upon, but back in the 40s, it was acceptable. During their time together, Bekowsky and Phelps investigate various cases until Phelps is once again promoted, his reputation budding. Remember how Captain Donnelly told Phelps to get 2 suits? Here's his second one, which he switches to at the start of the homicide desk. Again, Phelps adopts another 3-piece suit, this time in a navy pinstripe fabric with a red polka dot tie and a black fedora. Leaving Bekowsky, Phelps meets Rusty Galloway. I can only describe Galloway as an alcoholic, cynical, middle-aged policeman. For goodness sake, he's wearing an orphan green pinstripe patch pocket jacket without the matching pants. He does remember to match it with his hat though. Galloway is world-weary but fashion unconscious. Phelps and Galloway's biggest investigation in homicide was the Black Dahlia murder, a real-life cold case that was gruesome, not for the faint of heart. Since this is a video game, they took another route by having you confront the killer. This act of heroism closes Phelps' time in homicide, with his career blossoming as he relocates to the Vice desk in Hollywood. Phelps' outfits up to this point have been conservative, until his partner, Earle, comes in. Earle is the type of cop that no one should ever cross, a dirty one. Straight out of Hollywood, Earle dresses the part, with a 2-tone sport coat in gray and coral, with a matching Art Deco swing tie. Fun fact, in universe, Earle probably gets his clothes from Mickey Cohen's haberdashery, while Phelps wears Brooks Brothers. Earle's influence rubs off on Phelps, who soon dons a similar loafer jacket and tie. During Phelps' time in Vice, he crosses paths with Elsa Lichtmann, who has been an unimportant figure up until now. She is the singer at the Blue Room nightclub, which is frequented both by Earle and Phelps. She wears many different outfits, but her signature look is a floor-length, deep velvet evening gown made out of high sheen silk. The Vice desk would eventually be too much for Phelps. I am not religious, but this verse from the Bible summarizes this exact situation. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. That is Matthew 7:18-19. The bad fruit of the Vice desk prunes its only good fruit, Phelps. He is uprooted from Vice and sent to arson. With his police career faltering, the arson desk becomes Phelps' new home. Sharing this new desk is a new partner, Herschel Biggs. Biggs is a man who has seen too much and cares too little for the bold looks of detectives like Earle. His brown sports coat and navy blue trousers are stained with ash and black smudges, typical of an arson detective. Fitting the new line of work he finds himself in, Phelps adopts another look. This time, a light gray herringbone coat with charcoal gray trousers, a gray fedora, and a pinstriped, odd vest with a swing tie. I guess Phelps took a page out of Rusty's book. This is where we leave Phelps' story. Before we move on from Phelps, a quick note. There are more outfits for him that affect gameplay instead of just being cosmetic. There are 4 in the Steam version that I use for my footage, with another 5 exclusive to the remastered version on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. I wasn't telling the whole truth earlier. Phelps is the protagonist until we meet Jack Kelso, whom we play for as the remainder of the story. Kelso is Phelps' old Marine pal who works as a private detective. The article on Kelso's outfits have something in common. They're all shades of blue. He is equipped with a checkered blue-gray sports coat, French blue trousers, a navy fedora, and a bold tie with a matching light blue shirt. Kelso uncovers a malicious plot, which I'm not going to spoil. A side story that also plays out is between Dr. Harlan Fontaine and Courtney Sheldon. Sheldon is a medical student and dresses in a style typical of a young adult of the time. Sheldon wears a white shirt with a teal jumper and khakis. Fontaine embodies the professional academic dress common for a man of psychotherapy and sophistication. Fontaine wears a two-piece white thin-striped suit with a red turtleneck. The two team up to navigate a broken LA. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, as the deserving aren't always rewarded. Unsurprisingly, this duo of mentor and student is based solely on exploitation and naivete. Can you guess who the naive one is and who the exploiter is? Memory is the key to the door of accuracy. There are bound to be hiccups, goofs, and gaffes. The best way to achieve accuracy is to rely on documentation, which is usually the memory of the documenter, with a hint of human error. The only true way to get a historical piece right is to be there while it happens, recording it. LA Noire is no exception. The problems pertain to certain parts of the city's urban planning not being 100% accurate, and the stylish nitpicks like all the men wearing 3-button jackets or suspenders being worn with belts. I attribute these to the hardware limitations of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. You really need to be looking for these details to notice them, and these minor nitpicks do not tarnish the experience. The golden age of fashion must have been quite a time to be alive. Even if you weren't conscious about the clothes you wore, the average person could still be put together very well with a little help. If you ever want to get inspired by this era, pick up LA Noire. Just do it. You'll wonder why you didn't play it sooner. Also, you can play it in VR, which is hilarious.